What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 70s, 80s, 90s, the aughts, part 4 of my reviewing and ranking Prince's studio albums. Yeah, studio albums. There were 12 in this decade. I'm going to rank these 12. I'm counting the jazz stuff, the solo piano, the compilations from the MPG, the website stuff, because one of those I think is really good. I split up the two that were in the Lotus Flower, since those are two separate albums. So I split those up. So 12. Yeah. How did we get to Prince from Zappa? Prince was the secret word in both 84 and in 88, at least once, in at least one show. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to rank these. I'm not going to include the rankings in with all of the Prince ones. That will be at the very end, but I will rank the ones from the 2000s. Yeah. All right. Let's not waste any more time. Some of these I have very little to say about, so some of these will go quick. Anyways, yeah, let's get on to number 12. Number 12 is Expectation, parentheses or quotes or something, subtitled New Directions in Music by Prince. Kind of jazzy, not really jazz rock. He would get more into that on the next one, not on this list, but his release. Yeah, not very inspired. Other people have done it better. I have no interest in this. All the songs are called start with X, exhalation, X conjugate, exemplify. Yeah, I just, it bores me. There's so much more better jazz out here. He would do this thing again with better results to these ears, but this one, yeah, I really, it doesn't do anything for me at all. It's kind of boring. My number 12, Expectation. Yeah, don't have much. Number 11 is One Night Alone, ... Prince alone on piano, vocals. There's a couple other, some of the tracks have some instrumentation on them. We get some chill, some drums, some ambient singing, Prince's doves. A couple more, just, yeah, it's mostly him solo stuff. Some of the lyrics sound like really bad slam love poetry. This is not my vibe. This is not why I come to Prince. If you want to drop a nice piano ballad on an album in the midst of some funk jams, I understand. It works, contrast and relief. But here, this whole thing, it doesn't do anything for me. It's not why I go to Prince. There is a cover of Joni Mitchell's A Case of You. I don't think Prince improves upon it. It makes me want to go listen to Blue. And I think the handful of times I've listened to this album, I've literally then listened to Blue, maybe twice after each one. But yeah, this doesn't do much for me. Yeah. Anyways, my number 11, One Night Alone. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Prince this should be ranked last in the 2000s, maybe last of everything for the album cover art alone. Yeah, no, just no, like that. If you like that album cover art, maybe you'll like this album, but I'm just going to say no. Number 10 is Planet Earth, his 32nd studio album. This came out in 2007. This one is just kind of forgettable. Starts off with a sort of an eco message on the opening track, Planet Earth. It kind of has a nice dramatic, slow, kind of steady type build. You get some rock guitar in there or some, Prince screaming type stuff. But I don't know. It all feels done before. Maybe recycled. Maybe that's the message. Planet Earth, let's recycle more. I think the highlights are a couple like pop melodies when he's leaning into the popness of Prince. I think a couple things work. The One You Want to See, I think, might be the highlight, which I believe was on one of the two albums we just talked about, and then Prince redid it for here. Not a bad song. Actually, really good on this album. We got some ballads that are okay. Yeah, Mr. Goodnight, some really, really, really light pop. More light pop in All the Midnights in the World. Chelsea Rogers is some pretty good upbeat, kind of fun. Some nice horns in there. Some awesome bars that Prince is dropping. Kind of a pretty good song. That's actually a really good song. Might be the highlight of the album. The One You Want to See, which is like the 4th. And then Chelsea Rogers, which is the 8th. the pillars that are lifting this up from being an absolutely just kind of a whatever album. None of it's bad, but none of it is really, really all that stands out. But there's two pretty strong tracks. And other than that, it's just yeah. And there's even a song called Guitar, which is like trying to bring the rock energy, but when you call it guitar and you try to bring it, it's just it's not really going to work. And that's kind of what a lot of this feels like. You're trying, you're doing the right things. I hear what you're doing, but really struck kind of gold. And we got a couple nuggets on two songs, but for the rest, it's just kind of a there thing. But yeah, that's my number 10, Planet Earth. Number 9 is The Slaughterhouse, the second of two tracks from the NPG Music Club. This is volume 2. Apparently, Prince, I was not aware of this at the time, not until these came out, was dropping tracks online. And this is a compilation of some of the tracks that were dropped online. It's like a straight up fun pop funk kind of party album. Like, I don't think there's any really bad songs on here. I just don't think there's any really like great songs on there. Like even that last album had two what I think are maybe like, yeah, you got to check these tracks out. This one, I'm not sure any of those are like, God, you got to check these tracks out. But every time I listen to this, I'm like, I like all the grooves. I like the energy. There's some bars that Prince is dropping here and there. We got some nice good hard electronic percussive energy going. Yeah, I mean, there's just good stuff throughout. Some tight James Brown funk. It's just, I don't think any of these things are like things you would release as a single or like the definite like highlight. It's just the whole thing. It almost sounds like, in a way, a compilation album, almost because everything was like, I dropped this party funk here, and then this party funk months later, and there's like all these party funk anthems that he's dropping. So they kind of go well together. I don't know. I enjoy when I listen to it. I don't think it's a must have or a must hear, but when I put it on, I kind of like it. There's a variety in the funk. It's not just straight funk. We get some low key funk. We get some more party funk. We get some tighter, more economical James Brown type funk. So it's kind of all over the place in the funk in one realm, but it's a good listen. But yeah, nothing really, really stands out. But I don't think anything is like, oh, I want to skip that song. So yeah, there's a call for peace at some point in there, the song Peace. But yeah, it's an enjoyable album. He's not reinventing any wheels, but the wheels he's driving, I'd go for a ride on this. Yeah. All right, that's number 9, The Slaughterhouse. Number 8 is The Rainbow Children. This is his 24th studio album, came out in 2001. There's a good album, maybe a great album somewhere in this music, in these tracks, in this idea. It's a concept album. There's some of that jazzy rock that he would do in Expectation and on News are there, which we haven't talked about News yet. Opens up with like a really nice sort of long jazzy rock thing that goes off into a bunch of weird places at the end that lets you know, okay, this is Prince. We get like this narrator throughout it, but he's got this kind of deep, dark, almost like depressing voice that I don't know if I like it. I don't know if it works. There's a whole bunch of really mellow tracks on here and just kind of type songs that water it down. But the thing's like 70 minutes long. Maybe 68 because there's a bunch of silent bonus tracks before we get this noise at the end. But it's like well over an hour. You can cut a good 15 to 20 minutes, trim a lot of the fat because there's some kind of good stuff sprinkled throughout all the fat. The opening track I like. I like the jazz rock explorations. I like him doing something different. It's not the best jazz rock in the world, but I'm okay with it. Especially if he's going to then go on and drop some funk or drop some other stuff. But then we just kind of tread water for the next couple songs, just not that inspired. Then we get the song called The Work Part 1, which is a nice like James Brown tighten up and give us that kind of funk. Some really much needed energy because that first jazz rock song, for as long and weird as it is, isn't really injecting a lot of energy into it, but it is interesting. Then we just kind of get a bunch of songs that kind of don't do anything for me. There's moments throughout, of course, the band is always good. But then at the end, we get She Loves Me for Me, which is kind of a nice 3 minute little poppy type ballad. Uh, Family Name, which is awesome. Just awesome. It is this funkadelic type jam. Prince is like dropping all this knowledge about things. He's got like politics he's preaching. It's like a jam. There's guitar shredding. It's awesome. Like whatever this whole concept on this album is about feels like all the issues are being addressed here. And then that goes into the Everlasting Now, which is just like an awesome party jam that is taking that energy from the Family Name and just like doing the best things possible with it and turning it into just like a really nice jam song. That 1, 2, 3 song combination towards the end is pretty fantastic. And it's close to 20 minutes worth of music. It could be an entire side. And then with yeah, I mean it is 20 minutes of music. It's a side. You can trim this down. That would be a fantastic side of music. The last song, Last December, kind of starts off with what might be Purple Rain inspired type. Let's start some chords, start off gently. But a lot of wasted space on here, a lot of stuff where it's just like not that interesting, I don't think. It's just kind of a little too tepid and just kind of But then there's some really good stuff in the beginning and some really good stuff at the end. It's just too long, needs to be trimmed. But yeah, I think it's worth checking. Oh, then there's this really bad, weird Disney musical kind of weird thing. I think this weird singing that's just like, what is happening? Like, chaos is good and randomness is good, and I embrace that. But when it doesn't work, it's like, it's not working. And a lot of times it doesn't work on here. But I think it's worth checking out because it is a weird, kind of a little weird album. It's weird. But yeah, it's my number 8, right? This weird little rainbow children. The rainbow children, these weird little prince creatures, my number 8. Number 7 is News, North, East, West, South. 4 tracks, each exactly 14 minutes. Prince in the studio improvising this weird jazz, rock, funk, ambient noise fusion. Each track just kind of randomly goes wherever it wants to go. Sometimes we're funking it out, sometimes a little more chill. Sometimes Prince is shredding on guitar. Sometimes it's like a party jam. Sometimes it's jazzy. Sometimes there's a saxophone blowing. It all seems pretty random. Seems like whatever is happening in the West is happening in the South and the North and the East. But it sounds good. I enjoy it. I never get bored. It's maybe not the best jazz fusion rock ever, but it's better than that Expectation thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a good chill listen. I don't know why people don't like this album. I don't know why it's not loved more. I think Prince actually did a good thing. I don't understand the hate. Yeah, I've listened to it driving. I've listened to it while doing housework, listened to it while chilling. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is better than people give it credit for. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's kind of fun. Is it the greatest jam band jazz rock ever? Not by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's bad. It's Prince doing something new, new explorations. This one was better than the last. Yeah, that's my number 7, News. Number 6 is a remix album, Rave Into the Joy Fantastic, which is the remix of Rave Unto the Joy Fantastic. Some of the songs are exactly the same, but what I like about this album, and this thread unfortunately is kind of lost as the album goes on, is the first 4 tracks feel like you're at Prince's mansion. I'm assuming he lives in a mansion at like 1 in the morning, and you just walk into this room where a DJ's playing, and this is what he's dropping on like a random Thursday night at 1 a.m. at Prince's house. It just feels like a party. Chuck D shows up. The songs are great. Eve is there. We had a little Nasty Girl remix thrown in there. Yeah, it's great. We kind of lose that thread after a while. We get back to more normal songs. I give a deeper review of this album in the last video, the 90s video, because that's when the non-remix version came out. I think this one, I would have ranked it 1 higher than the non-remix version. I really enjoy this. But what this also has that the other one doesn't have is this has Beautiful Strange, which is just this really awesome, intense, slow burning Prince absolute classic that almost makes this album like you gotta get this version, or at least you have to go check out Beautiful Strange. It is a fantastic song. And that kind of lifts this one up and almost makes it necessary. But of the two, I love this one. I think it's more looser, it's more fun. And I really like the first one, but this one a little bit better. But yeah, that's my number. Am I at six already? My number seven. That's my number six. Rave into the Joy Fantastic. Number five is The Chocolate Invasion, the second of the two compilation albums of stuff from the MPG Music Club. I think this one's just a little bit funkier. I love like the sequencing of maybe the first five tracks, which is just like you kind of start off with this weird sort of off-kilter rocker with all kinds of cool stuff. Prince makes a Santana Europa reference, goes off on guitar. You got Judas Smile. That's where the Chocolate Invasion begins. Awesome, weird, funky pop song. Super cute. Kind of tighten it up and getting that little more like minimal electric funk that Prince does so well. That just sort of, bring it down to the bare bones. You get Underneath the Cream, in which we're like evoking Johnny Mathis era 70s type stuff. Absolutely awesome. And then I have the later release. There was an early release in 2004. I have the later release in which My Medallion is on there. I don't think My Medallion made the other release. I think it was a different song. But My Medallion then just drops like a straight up awesome funk electric vibe. Sort of a jammy song, lots of raps and stuff in there. So then the energy kind of gets more chaotic. But yeah, and then from there, you got some ballads, you got some up-tempo funk, you got some pop funk. I think it's good. It's a little bit eclectic, but I think that's what makes it work. I enjoy listening to it. Yeah, man. I don't know. And Judas Smile, that second song, that's a really good song. That's a standout song. Some good stuff. But it's pretty good stuff. I like this album. My number five, The Chocolate Invasion. Number four is Musicology. This was the album where everybody was like, Prince is back. He's back. Not doing anything weird or indulgent. He's just doing what he's always done. 28th studio album came out in 2004. And that is both what makes this album work and what makes this album like, okay. Because it is Prince doing what he's always done. Opens up from the beginning with some really nice, just tight James Brown type funk musicology. Like, right, awesome. And then what he does is he just kind of revisits his greatest hits. Like, there's not like connections like this is that song, this is that song. But they're just, Prince is doing what he does best throughout the album. But we're now in 2004. This isn't the 80s. Like, all the best ideas have been committed. So it's a really, really solid listen. It is good from start to finish. Cinnamon Girl's a nice little, almost political type rocker. I like the Marrying Kind. That's a fun song. If I Was the Man in Your Life, you know where Prince is going with that. Some good stuff on here. I just think it's one of those times where like the critical world so wanted Prince to come back and be Prince that this album maybe got praised a little too much and isn't as fire as everybody thinks it is. It is really good. I think it is Prince like maybe focusing and like, I'm going to try to make a hit record. I'm going to do what I know I can do. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. I enjoy it. I don't think, definitely there's nothing that really bores me on here, but I just don't know. I know it's at number four. It's a great album, but I'm trying to justify why it's at four and not higher because I generally see it higher on other people's lists. But I think it's a solid, really consistent album that's maybe lacking that one or two moments of just absolute brilliant inspiration. Or maybe I'm just missing what song that is and it's on here. I just haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, I have mixed feelings about this album. I really do. Because when it first came out and everybody was praising it, I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I was really expecting. But then over the years, I've grown to love it a lot more because I'm over my disappointment. But I'm in a weird place about this album. But I have to put it number four because I do recognize it's got some great stuff on here. All right. Yeah, I'm rambling about this. I'm lost on this one. But it is number four. I'm confident on that. Musicology. Musicology! Number three is MPL Sound. This was one of the 3 discs in the Lotus Flower 3 CD box set. Lotus Flower was one of them. The third was Elixir, which was not a Prince album, but Bria Valente sang all the songs. I'm not including that on this list. I'm glad this followed Musicology because I think Musicology might be a more consistent album than MPL3 Sound, but MPL Sound has some absolutely ridiculous songs. Second song, Chocolate Box, has Q-Tip in it. He's got a verse, awesome. Has one of my favorite lines, how you gonna make chocolate cake if nobody's taught you how, something like that. It's just all these like chocolate box innuendos and references. It's an awesome 6.5 minute track. Absolutely phenomenal. And then Old School Company, which has almost like this almost into club vibe, and Prince is like mining those musical territories, and he's just rapping, singing, and going off on old school stuff, and just like drops some shredding some guitar in there, starts referencing other songs, things that he did on the Lotus Flower album. It's just great. Chocolate Box, the second song, Old School Company. We're talking 14 minutes of this album are fantastic. But the opening, There'll Never Be Another Like Me. Some pretty good upbeat pop funk that is actually pretty good. The chorus reminds me of why did it get dark all of a sudden? The chorus reminds me of the Spice Girls Wannabe. I'm hearing a little Wannabe in there. Dance for Me is on here. You get some nice dance funk pop with Dance for Me. We got a slow ballad jam with You're Gonna See Me. We kind of tread water there in the middle. You're Gonna See Me and here kind of tread water. Valentina, some nice like swag funk, really nice cool funk groove. Better With Time, we get a ballad, but then you got Old School Company, and then No More Candy for You, which is just hyper pop, super, somebody had way too much candy, and the No More Candy for You must be directed at Prince, because there's way too much energy going into this song, which is a nice little fun closer. Definitely not as consistent as Musicology, but there are songs on here which are better than, I think, anything on Musicology. And Old School Company, that into club vibe, dun, almost that. Such a great track. Buried at the end of this album, kind of makes the whole thing worth it. Really, really awesome. That's my number 3, MPL Sound. My number 2 is 3121. Prince's came out in 2006. It is his 31st album, 31. And this is kind of like, and I think everybody, this is like, I think this was the follow-up to Musicology, and it takes everything about Musicology and kind of just makes it darker and more intense and just sweatier, maybe. There's a song called Black Sweat, which is why maybe I think it's sweatier. Awesome minimalist funk vibe on that one. The opening one is a really dark, moody funk vibe, opening track 3121. Kind of some, that Camille sex energy, really strong opener. The following, Lolita, is really, really awesome synth pop that just has some awesome synth sounds in it. Te Amo Corazon sounds like a song called Te Amo Corazon would sound like. And then you get Black Sweat after that, which is just awesome. Really cool electronic funk energy. Just an amazing song. Incense and Candles, there's some like nice low-key pop sound to it. You got some good electric pop funk throughout here. Some nice guitar rockers in Fury. He's Still Your Man. Got a duet ballad. What is it? Beautiful, Loved, and Blessed. You get a duet there that isn't that good, but I really like the ending. There's a really nice kind of ending. I think you kind of got to stick with it for a while, but it ends on a really nice, cool, kind of soft jam at the end. You get the Dance, which is Prince, kind of a slower ballad in which he gets to finally scream and shriek and go crazy at the end of it vocally. Great song. And then Get on the Boat. We end it with a party. Get on the boat, people. That's where the party is. We got horns. There's room for a bunch more people to get on. Really good upbeat energy. Yeah, pretty solid album. Couple maybe like Tread and Water type electric pop things. The lighter stuff is, except for maybe the Dance where he's bringing it. But a really good album. Kind of like a lot like Musicology, but just the energy feels a little darker, a little more intense, a little more like there are secrets to this music or things are going on, but kind of that mysterious, more sexual, just not sure I should be here type vibe that Prince's best music gives off. Where you're like, I'm hearing things I shouldn't. It's not that like scandalous, but just there's an intensity to this album that I think was a little bit lacking in musicology. But yeah, that's my number two, 3121. And my number one in the 2000s up to 2000 and the end of 2009 is Lotus Flower. One of the CDs in the 3 CD box set, Lotus Flower. This came out in 2009. The hippie in me loves this album. Opens up with a From the Lotus, Back to the Lotus, this sort of instrumental jazzy rock that he kind of, unlike Rainbow Children, kind of naturally feeds into the rest of the album and isn't just what feels like this standalone, just less of a like overture and more of like a let's bring you into the rest of this album type vibe. Just really nice, smooth, jazz-esque instrumental that I absolutely love. It goes into Boom, which is like this low-key rock number with these like really intense sort of just random rock parts thrown throughout. Great lyrics, absolutely great lyrics. I think the last three lyrics to this song are celibate, mushroom, canopy. Yeah, in that order. Just great lyrics. And that goes into Crimson and Clover, a cover of Crimson and Clover, which is a great song. I think it's a nice surprise. Every time they segue into it, I'm like, yeah, this works. Good song choice, Prince. I like it. I think it's cool. I like Crimson and Clover. We get Forever as like a nice pop song, some really great lyrics about what Prince is going to do for his girl. Colonize Mine, it's a nice kind of a bluesy, it's a nice slow and tasty jammy type groove. Kind of a Ben Harper type, that slow kind of rock, bluesy rock that Ben Harper does. Some nice lyrics about racism and society and the colonized mind and stuff like that. And I think there's some better, like I think some of his political observations or his lyrics about society are maybe a little more thoughtful or deeper than sometimes they are on some of his other albums. But I like Colonize Mine, not a bad song. Feel Better, Feel Good, Feel Wonderful is really the first and maybe only like straight up party jam song on this album. Like there's a lot of different elements, a lot more rock elements that Prince is working with. And so this is kind of the first real like almost like MPG type party song. Love Like Jazz. I mean, the title kind of says it all, light jazzy stuff. Great line. I don't care what you learned in lovemaking school. He does not care. Nice instrumental, gentle instrumental in 77 Beverly Park, which he references that address on the next album. And then The Wall of Berlin. She goes down like the Wall of Berlin, man. What a great line. Nice jam band rocker, man. Drop another rocker in here. I'm all for it. Money, you get some more of that upbeat pop funk. Dreamer, straight up Jimi Hendrix guitar song. Wah, wah, me almost like he's quoting Voodoo Child in the beginning. Absolutely amazing. And then after that, we go back into the Back to the Lotus. A rock album. It's everything's a little bit different. Get a couple sort of classic pop funk party songs. But for the most part, Prince is exploring some different venues, and I like it. I think it works. I think it's got a nice flow from start to finish. I think it feels very much like an album, and all the pieces kind of fit together. Yeah, I really, really think this is a solid album. And I actually have it in my car a lot and choose to listen to it. Then every once in a while, I'll listen to the other one that's in the same little box set. But yeah, I like this album. I like both of them. I think this is a pretty good box set. I never listened to the one that the other one sings, though I probably should. But yeah, all right. But yeah, that is my number one in the 2000s to 2000 and early end of 2009, Lotus Flower. And that is what those look like in typewritten form right there. Those 12. Yeah, I would say like Rainbow Children is interesting. It's got moments, but I would say everything and News, you may hate that, but I like it, like jazz fusion stuff. I think everything from 6 Up has some pretty good highlights, and that's stuff that you should at least check it out once, because who knows, you may love it more than I do. But I think the top 6 are worth checking out as a Prince fan. Maybe not as a not Prince fan, but definitely as a Prince fan, I would say. All right. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this list and let me know why I'm crazy. You all know how comments work and humans and people and opinions and all that stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and go listen to Prince. Go listen to Lotus Flower, man. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't compare to the 80s stuff, but I think it's a pretty good album, man. All right, peace. Talk to you later.